Welcome to Crescix Deep Dive. This is our brand new show.
Great to be here.
Yeah. So every week we're going to be, diving deep, really getting into a single topic where artificial intelligence and society sort of collide.
It's a messy intersection, for sure.
It really is. And our mission here, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
We want to help you cut through all the noise, bring some actual understanding about AI, the good, the bad, the really complex stuff.
How it's affecting people, society.
Exactly. Yeah. And maybe give you some insights that help you navigate it all. Maybe even use AI to, improve things, make life more efficient.
Think of us as guides.
Yeah.
Sifting through the research, the headlines.
Yeah, pulling out the important bits for you.
Yeah.
So today we're kicking things off with something really fundamental. I mean, if you want to understand AI's impact at all, you need to grapple with this.
Yeah.
What even is AI ethics? Like, what are we talking about? And maybe even more crucial, who gets to decide? Who decides what's ethical for these incredibly powerful systems?
That second question is huge.
It really is. Because look, we'll get into this, but these aren't just philosophical chats anymore, are they?
Not at all. These have real consequences happening right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're definitely going to want to stick around for this conversation, these questions. They affect all of us. So if this sounds interesting, please, seriously, hit that subscribe button now, wherever you're listening.
Yeah, don't miss out.
That way you won't miss our future deep dives. Because this landscape, it's changing fast.
So where do we start? Defining AI ethics.
Yeah, let's pin that down first. What exactly is it?
Okay, well, there's a pretty widely accepted definition out there. It calls AI ethics a multidisciplinary field.
Multidisciplinary. Okay.
Right, meaning it draws from lots of areas. And it's concerned with the moral implications and the societal impact of AI systems.
Moral implications, societal impact. Okay, those are broad terms. For people maybe already a bit familiar with AI, what are the specifics? What are the key things people look at?
Good question. The definition points to some core concerns. Things like fairness, accountability, privacy, and harm reduction.
Okay, break those down a bit. Fairness.
Is the system treating different groups of people fairly, equitably, or is it biased?
Accountability.
Can we figure out why an AI made a certain decision, especially if it's wrong or causes harm? And can we hold someone or something responsible?
Right, and privacy. Seems obvious, but...
How is the AI handling personal data? Is it secure? Is it being used in ways people didn't consent to?
And harm reduction, the big one maybe.
Crucial. Is the system causing harm directly or indirectly, and what are we doing to stop that or at least lessen it?
Fairness, accountability, privacy, harm reduction. Okay. These sound like principles we try to apply elsewhere,
Yeah.
like laws or company policies.
Exactly.
So why the huge, urgent focus on AI specifically?
Yeah.
And why now? What's changed?
That's the key shift, isn't it? For a long time, AI was mostly in research labs or used in very specific kind of controlled ways.
Theoretical stuff.
Pretty much. The ethical questions were mostly hypotheticals, like, what if AI gets super smart? Or what if we use it for weapons? But that's not the world we live in anymore.
It's out of the lab.
Way out. Like experts, Ruha Benjamin, for instance, have pointed out, AI isn't theory now. It's embedded deeply in real-world decision-making right now.
Like what kind of decisions?
Oh, underwriting loans, deciding who gets a job interview, helping diagnose illnesses,
Right.
even influencing things like bail decisions or police deployment.
Wow. Okay. So these aren't future possibilities. This is current stuff.
Absolutely current, with immediate, significant impacts on people's lives, their money, their health, maybe even their freedom. So when AI is making calls like that, ethics just can't be optional, can it?
No way. So these algorithms, they're basically running on rules, or maybe a lack of rules, that are shaping fundamental parts of our lives, often without us even realizing.
That's it exactly. Think about it. Who gets credit? Who gets the interview? Whose face gets flagged by a camera? What medical path is suggested?
Decisions humans used to make.
Right. Humans with all their flaws and biases, sure. But also with human judgment, context, oversight sometimes. Now, more and more, it's automated systems driving or influencing those calls.
And you touched on something critical earlier, the potential mismatch between the people building these systems and the diverse populations they affect.
This is so central to the fairness and harm discussion.
Wow.
Look at the teams designing cutting-edge AI, like these big language models. They often, they don't reflect the world's diversity, do they?
Still predominantly from specific backgrounds.
Often, yeah. Culturally, socioeconomically, gender-wise. And when you lack those diverse perspectives during design and testing, potential biases, potential harms that hit certain groups harder, they might just get missed.
Yeah.
overlooked completely.
So the tech, even if it's meant to be efficient or objective, it can accidentally just soak up and automate the biases already out there in society, in the data it learns from, or just from the creator's blind spots.
That's precisely it. Joy Buolamwini famously said technology isn't neutral. It reflects the priorities and, yeah, often the blind spots of its makers.
Can you give us an example, a concrete case, where this lack of foresight or this bias caused real problems?
Absolutely. One of the sort of early well-known examples is Amazon's attempt to build an AI hiring tool.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. What went wrong there?
So Amazon wanted to streamline hiring. Makes sense. They trained an AI on like 10 years of resumes they'd received to teach it what a successful Amazon hire looked like based on that history.
Okay, sounds logical on the surface.
Right. And the AI learned patterns from the data. The problem was the historical data was heavily skewed male, just reflecting the tech industry's imbalance over those years.
Ah, so the AI just learned that imbalance.
It did more than learn it. It, like, amplified it. The AI basically concluded that being male was a good predictor of success at Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It started penalizing resumes with words like women's, as in women's chess club captain. It even downgraded graduates from 2 specific all-women's colleges. Seriously. It wasn't programmed explicitly to be sexist, but the bias in the data taught the algorithm to discriminate automatically. Amazon eventually had to ditch the whole project. They couldn't get the bias out.
That's a stark example how historical bias just gets baked right into the code.
Yeah.
And then scaled up automatically.
Yeah.
It wasn't a person being sexist in the moment, it was the machine learning from past sexism.
Exactly. It really highlights that fairness challenge. How do you make an algorithm fair when the data it learns from isn't fair? And it also hits accountability, like who's responsible when the AI messes up like that?
Right. Are there other major areas where we see these ethical issues popping up?
Oh, definitely. Another huge one is facial recognition technology.
Okay. That seems to be constantly in the news. Surveillance, security.
And the ethical issues there are significant. Study after study has shown that a lot of these systems, well, they just don't work equally well for everyone.
What do you mean?
Specifically, they tend to have much higher error rates for people with darker skin tones, especially Black women, actually, compared to, say, white men.
And a higher error rate isn't just an inconvenience, is it? What does that mean in the real world?
It means the system is far more likely to misidentify someone from those groups. Now imagine that tech being used by police or in airport security. A mistake, a misidentification, that can lead to wrongful arrest, detention, serious consequences.
A direct threat to people's safety and rights.
Absolutely. It's a clear case of a system likely designed and tested with one group implicitly in mind, maybe the group overrepresented in the training data, causing real harm to others.
So again, it's like technical limitations or data biases, maybe not enough pictures of darker-skinned faces in the training set mixing with existing societal biases to create unfair, potentially dangerous systems.
Exactly right. It's not just does the tech work, it's who does it work well for and what happens when it fails. And when those failures hit marginalized communities hardest, well, the ethical alarm bells should be ringing loud.
Okay, so we've got a handle on what AI ethics is about, why it's urgent, and some powerful examples of bias causing harm. But the field itself isn't all agreed, right?
Yeah.
There must be debates on how to actually fix these things.
Oh, absolutely. This is where that question, who gets to decide what's ethical, really bites. Because different people, different groups, they have different priorities, different ideas about solutions.
What are some of the main arguments or tensions we're seeing?
Well, one big one is about how these systems are even developed, open versus closed AI.
Right, like OpenAI versus more open source approaches.
Exactly. Companies like OpenAI, despite the name, keep their most powerful models pretty locked down. They cite safety reasons, protecting their research. But others argue that systems this powerful, potentially foundational for society, they should be developed openly, more transparency, more people scrutinizing them, preventing just a few companies having all the power.
So it's a tension between control and safety through secrecy versus transparency and maybe wider access through openness.
You've got it. It's fundamentally a debate about power, trust, and who gets to steer technology with such massive potential impact. Then there's the regulatory approach. We're seeing governments step in. The EU's AI Act is a big example.
Trying to set legal rules for AI.
Yeah, it takes a risk-based approach. Stricter rules for AI used in high-risk areas, things like critical infrastructure, hiring, credit scoring, law enforcement.
Makes sense. But can regulation keep up? The tech moves so fast.
That's the huge challenge. Rules made today might be outdated next year, so regulation needs to be, well, flexible, adaptable, which is hard to do.
And then you have these maybe more philosophical debates, like that call for an AI pause a while back.
Right. The idea proposed by people like Elon Musk, some AI researchers, a 6-month halt on training AI systems more powerful than GPT-4, essentially.
Why? What was the argument?
The argument was basically, let's pump the brakes. We need time to figure out safety protocols, to really understand the potential catastrophic risks from super advanced AI before we build it.
I mean, worrying about future risks from superintelligence. Okay, I get the concern. It sounds cautious. But then you hear about the Amazon hiring tool, biased facial recognition, stuff causing harm now. Does focusing on a future pause feel like it misses the immediate problems?
And that nails one of the core tensions in AI ethics right there. What's the priority? Preventing potential future, maybe existential risks from AI we haven't built yet, or tackling the real measurable harms from the AI systems already out there affecting millions today?
It's not necessarily either, I guess.
Not strictly, but attention, resources, funding, they're limited, and different groups prioritize very differently. Many argue, look, we haven't even got the basics right for the AI we have. Let's fix the current arms first.
It really sounds like figuring this out needs input from, well, way beyond just the tech folks.
Absolutely essential. If we circle back to who decides, it has to involve sociologists, legal experts, philosophers, ethicists, and critically, people from the communities most likely to be affected, often the ones not in the room when the tech is built.
I was thinking about some of the key voices shaping this conversation. You mentioned Joy Buolamwini, her point about tech not being neutral.
Yeah, Joy Buolami's work founding the Algorithmic Justice League is just foundational, showing how societal biases get encoded, especially in things like facial recognition. Her research really demonstrates that the developers' perspectives, conscious or not, get embedded, leading to unfair impacts. It directly challenges that idea that code is purely objective.
Right. And Timnit Gebru, her work also raised major ethical flags, didn't it? Especially around large language models.
Timnit Gebru's perspective is crucial. She really emphasizes the consequences for marginalized groups. She co-authored that famous stochastic parrots paper outlining risks of large language models, and her advocacy consistently hammers home that point. The people who are most harmed by AI are often the least represented in designing it.
Which connects directly back to that Amazon example, right?
Yeah.
If the team lacks diversity, lacks understanding of potential bias impacts, they might build something harmful without even realizing it.
Exactly. And it's not just about, social justice, though that's vital. It's actually a fundamental design flaw if your system fails or harms huge chunks of the population it's supposed to serve.
What about someone like Stuart Russell? His focus seems more on that longer-term alignment problem with advanced AI.
Right. Stuart Russell, author of Human Compatible, he's a top AI researcher thinking about how we ensure that future, potentially much more powerful AI, stays aligned with human values. Not just one person's goals, but human values as a whole.
So a different time scale, but still ethics.
Definitely. He argues, look, if we succeed in building this incredibly powerful AI, we absolutely must align it properly, make sure it's beneficial, safe, controllable for everyone. That requires really deep thinking about what those values are and how to embed them.
So you've got people focused on immediate harms and biases in current systems, and others focused on ensuring future superintelligence is safe and beneficial. It's a lot of different angles.
It really is. And addressing AI ethics properly means engaging with all of it. The technical fixes for bias now, the regulatory frameworks, and those fundamental questions about who builds this stuff and whose values end up encoded within it.
So let's bring this back to the listener. What does this all mean for you listening right now? Why should you personally care about AI ethics?
Because, like we've been saying, AI isn't some sci-fi future thing anymore. It's here. Algorithms are already making decisions that affect your life, often invisibly.
How so?
They influence the news you see, the ads you get, whether you get approved for a loan, what job postings pop up for you, maybe even how public services interact with you. Understanding AI ethics isn't just academic. It's about understanding the hidden forces shaping your reality, your opportunities, your future.
And if we actually want AI to be a tool that benefits everyone, that lifts society up, instead of just making existing inequalities worse or creating new dangers.
Then just letting the tech develop on its own without ethical guardrails, that's not really an option, is it? It needs conscious effort, input from all corners of society.
Right. Understanding the ethics is maybe the first step. So you can ask questions, push back, advocate for AI that's fairer, more accountable, designed with everyone in mind.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's recap our starting questions. What is AI ethics? It's this vital, multidisciplinary field looking at the moral and societal side effects of AI, focusing on fairness, accountability, privacy, harm reduction.
And who gets to decide what's ethical? Well, that's the ongoing negotiation, isn't it? It involves the tech companies, the regulators, researchers, ethicists, and crucially, the public. All of us whose lives are being shaped by this.
Yeah. And that final thought to leave people with, if, like Joy Buolamwini says, tech isn't neutral, it reflects its creators. And is, as Tinit Gebru points out, the people most harmed are least represented in building it.
Then how do we collectively make sure AI development actually aligns with broad human values, like Stuart Russell argues for? How do we ensure it serves everyone fairly? What responsibility does that put on all of us, not just the tech giants or the politicians, to actually get involved, to understand, to question?
That is definitely a big question to chew on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us for this very first Cressix Deep Dive. Really appreciate you being part of this conversation.
It was a complex one to start with, but essential, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, next week, we're going to zoom in on one of the areas we touched on today. We're doing a deep dive specifically into algorithms in hiring.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, how AI is quietly changing the job market for people looking for work and for employers. And the serious ethical questions that raises about fairness, bias, opportunity.
Some of the sources we looked at definitely suggest this needs way more attention. It affects so many people, often without them even knowing it's happening.
Exactly. You won't want to miss that one.
Definitely not.
So please make sure you've hit subscribe to the Cressix Deep Dive feed, wherever you get your podcasts. It's the best way to catch our next deep dive.
And if you found this useful, share it.
Yeah, please do. Share it with someone else who might want to understand these issues better.
Until next time, keep asking those questions.
And keep diving deep.